Hi, welcome to Wareham Free Library's book talk for children and young adults. And this is the last week of February, so in honor of celebration of Black History Month, we're going to do two books this month. First, for children's grades 1 through 4, I'm going to talk about a historical fiction book called Ruth and the Green Book by Calvin Ramsey and illustrated by Floyd Cooper, who is also the illustrator of these hands. So it's that soft type illustration. Ruth and the Green Book takes place in 1958, when there was still a lot of strife between Black Americans and whites, and it was very hard to travel. You know how you, as a child, when you go down to, let's say, Six Flags with your parents, are we there yet? I want to stop, I'm hungry, I have to go to the bathroom. But if you were a Black child in 1958, you couldn't stop at lots of places to go to the bathroom. People with dark-colored skin were told, no, you can't use the bathroom. You could go get the gas, but you can't use the bathroom. You were told, no, you can't eat at this restaurant. So it was very, very difficult to travel. And what made it easier was a postal delivery man who used to travel a lot, and of course his job was driving too, wrote a book called The Green Book, and it was a guide to safe traveling for, back then, the term was Negroes. And so this family bought a Green Book in 1958 for 75 cents, and it told them where they could stop for gas, what restaurants would serve African Americans, and where they could sleep, because they were making a trip from Chicago to Alabama to visit the grandparents. And the Green Book made it safe for the family and more comfortable. The second book that I'm going to discuss is for older students, grades 6 through 8, and it's written by Nic Stone, and it's called Clean Getaway. This involves this young boy who's nicknamed Scoob after Scooby-Doo. As you can see from the cover, he's African American. Well, he comes from a mixed family. His grandmother is white. She sells her house, takes the money, buys a brand spanking new RV, and she and Scoob, on his school vacation week, take a trip from Atlanta, Georgia, where they both live, and they're going to go down to Mexico. She is recreating the trip that she took with her husband, Scoob's grandpa, 51 years previously in 1968. They were married then because they updated the Civil Rights Act, and it was the first time in Georgia that a Black and white couple were allowed to get married. And this is going to be their honeymoon trip. So they get in their RV, they cross the state lines, they get to Alabama, and the first thing Grandma wants to do as a young bride, she wants to go to the top of a mountain, and they have a big, tall lookout there, and she wants to take in the view. They're about to drive up, and they're stopped because they're told, no ma'am, it wouldn't be safe for your husband if you go up there. He could be hurt. Because even though the laws had changed, people looking at a white woman and a Black man together would get very angry, and they might attack her husband. So they skip their very first stop they want to make. So Scoob and his grandma recreate it, and they go up to the top of the mountain, and they open up her treasure box that she brings with them. He sees postcards from where the grandpa and grandma had stopped. They see pictures of the grandpa, and it's the first time he's ever seen a picture of his grandpa because his grandpa died when he was young. And it also has a little green book that we talked about, Ruth and the Green Book, in the box. So they're recreating the trip with his grandma's Green Book, and they're stopping at the stops. Well, Scoob and his grandmother continue on with their trip, and they make it into Texas, which is farther than the grandmother and grandfather had made it. And the grandmother falls ill, so they call the dad, and Dad comes and brings them all back home to Georgia. And then a few months later, Scoob and his dad continue the trip for Grandma. And they go into Mexico, and they take her special box with the green book and some of her other treasures down into Mexico. And so they redeem the grandmother and finish the trip for her. It was an interesting book, clean getaway for grades 6 through 8, bringing back the green book, and for grades 1 through 4, more of historical fiction about Ruth and the green book. Thank you for listening.